Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello, my name is Penny Zanker, and this is Take Back Time. And as you know, on this show, we're always looking to find tips and tricks and lessons from top leaders, authors, and successful business entrepreneurs and business leaders. And so today, I'm excited that that's sort of the topic, is the lessons that we're going to talk about. Alex Brueckmann is with me. We had our interview some time ago, so this is take two. He's got a new book coming out, and we'll hear definitely a little bit about that. Alex Brueckmann is a board director, strategy facilitator, speaker, and author. He works at the intersection of strategy, leadership, performance, and empowerment. So there's lots more to him, but I don't want to bore you. You can read that. Let's just hear from him directly. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me again, Penny. I'm excited to be here.
So I'm excited to talk about your new book, especially since that's what this show is all about, is looking for those secrets like you have, right? Secrets of the Next Level Entrepreneurs and 11 powerful lessons. So first, tell me what prompted you to write this book of this form?
When I invited about 40 guest speakers to a 3-day business summit that I ran in, beginning of 2022, I didn't know who would show up, right? So you invite people, you build something, and it had a certain, of course, followed a certain theme. But then once the event was over, I revisited all these sessions that we had, and I asked myself whether there is something in it that would be worth putting together into one book. So what is the essence, basically, of that event?
So this is kind of like the summary, the hot tips that came out of that event.
The jump off point was that, yes. And then we developed it further and honed in to these topics way deeper and way more than we could within a half-hour conversation during an event like that.
Fantastic. So I know that when I'm attending these events, we're all at different levels. There's always a next level, no matter where you are, right? There's always a next level. I mean, we've got people going to Mars and the moon, and there's always a next level. Before we get into some of the things in the book, what really struck you? Like, what was that aha for you that gave you that push to move to the next level? Your big lesson.
This has been a constant theme over the past 20 years for me. How do I get to that next level? What's possible today because of what happened yesterday that wouldn't have been possible 2 days ago? And especially when you do the work that I do, helping executive teams, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs to identify what the next level for them looks like, what the next level for their business looks like, it's always that question of reiterating and understanding where you are and what's possible at any given moment. So these regular reviews, especially in the strategy process, they are always about what is possible now that wasn't possible yesterday. And because of what we have achieved so far, where can we be faster and more successful? So for me, this has been a theme in my job forever. And sometimes I also manage to ask myself, what's the next level?
Well, and that's what I'm asking you, right? Yeah. Like, what is it for you? What was the aha that came out of that for you personally?
Of that event, you mean, or of writing that book?
Whichever, the event, and then you could say writing the book. But there's a lot in there, right? But I want to know what touched you deeply that you said, this is what's going to take me to the next level.
At that point in time when the event happened, when I started to understand, hey, there is more in it than just the event, I had written my first book already. And I was in negotiations with publishing houses to sell the book. And my agent managed to sell the manuscript to a successful publishing house. And at that moment, I did not see the next level, to be very honest. When I wrote Secrets of Next Level Entrepreneurs, I invited, as I said, some of the other speakers, and we compiled this anthology book. And we didn't even think about using the sale of my first book as a jump off point to also position that second book. That just came as a surprise to us. And since that happened, I've asked myself even more regularly, what is the next level for you? So in a nutshell, that event and that book for me just was the wake up call to say, you know what? You need to better leverage what you have achieved in the past to inform what you want to become in the future. And to give you an example, very specific one, the moment you are a published author, or in this case, a 2 times published author, you have a completely different standing when it comes to the authority in your industry. All of a sudden, people read your books and understand that you are not just another one that is talking about a certain topic, but that you have thought leadership and authority to talk about a certain topic and contribute to shape your industry. And all of a sudden, the conversations change that you have with your customers.
Absolutely. Right. They see you in a different light. I know what you mean. And I think I'm going to interpret a little bit also what you said. Like, I remember one of my goals was to be a bestseller, to have a bestseller, right? So I wrote my book and I was able to accomplish that. And I'm so grateful. And then you think maybe you hit a plateau. Like, where do I go from here? Like, what else is there? Okay, I could go for New York Times bestseller, right? And I remember thinking, and maybe this is part of your next level too, is I remember thinking, or maybe it was, I heard from somebody, they're like, and what would happen if you 10x that and you made that even bigger? Like, not just the New York Times, but what's even bigger than that? And I was like, you know what? I want to be a part of a movie. I want to write a movie script that's going to really move people. And like you said, you never know what's going to happen. Swear to God, a couple of weeks later, I had an opportunity to be a part of a movie that was based on sort of Frank Shankowitz's story of Make-A-Wish, his development of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and hopefully would move a lot of people through that, right? So when I was like, this is it. So I think there's really something to that, is that if you don't ask yourself that question, like I never would have done that had I not been sparked with what's the next level and how do you make this bigger? So what's even bigger for you? So you've got this second book. I'm just curious, right? What's even bigger? What's beyond your thought right now that would be next after this book?
I would not necessarily talk about more books, I guess. I think for me, the biggest next level is to carve out as much time as possible to spend that with my toddler. Because
you have a toddler. How exciting.
I believe that for me as a father, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and that never comes back. So I think the next level that comes after business success is the success that you have in your personal life, and understanding that this is as much as a priority as making a living.
Absolutely. Right. I love that. There's, forget the proverb that I read somewhere, and it was these business executives. They were on vacation in this remote island. Have you heard this before?
No.
And they have this fish lunch and it's just so delicious. And they're like, this is amazing. They're like, you should do something, which you should make a bigger business out of this. And they said, well, what would happen if we did that? And they're like, well, you'd be able to be across multiple countries, bring your fish into other places. You'd have factories and manufacturing and distribution. And they're like, well, what would happen if we had that? When they went through all these different things about growing their business, and where would that bring us? They said, so that you can spend your days enjoying hanging around an island and
I see where this is going.
Relaxing, having a nice fish lunch. So basically, they're like, why should we do that? Why should we do all that to do exactly what we have in front of us right now when we don't need all of that? So I love that. I'm just kind of, for everybody, framing that next level, like you just said, can just be totally being in the moment and appreciating something that you have. But it's okay also to want to achieve. You have to see what's right for you at your stage of life and what is also in your capacity and that
Penny,
type of
I think
thing.
this is for many the next level they need to get to. It is not about being more successful, other people's standards. It's about understanding what life balance means for you. What does success mean for you? And it is not necessarily reaching the 7 figures when you're a 6-figure entrepreneur or building a $1 billion empire.
Right.
That's just in other people's standards. It's important to understand what matters to you and to your business or to your career. You don't even have to be an entrepreneur to use these frameworks that we discuss in the book. Most of them are very applicable to everyday life when it comes to achieving full person transformation, for example.
So when we come to these 11 lessons in the book now, is that what they center around, is how to just live a more meaningful, fulfilling life? Is that the gist of it, if you had to like sum it up in a couple sentences?
I think the gist of the book is to understand that there is no one way to success, and that there are many different aspects that we can take into consideration when it comes to building a thriving business and leading a balanced life.
So it is possible to lead a balanced life and a thriving business? Because half the people on here are like, wait a second, I thought it was one or the other.
And that is often what I thought when I was younger, to be honest. And what everyone, when we take a look into the media world, what's glorified out there is few super successful entrepreneurs. And what they propose and what they promote is what's called a hustle culture. And I think that's what people misunderstand.
Like Gary Vee, isn't he all about that? Like, you got to hustle?
Maybe. I don't know too much about Gary Vee, to be honest. But the recent conversations that happened around the work culture that Elon Musk established or wants to establish at Twitter, it's either my way or the highway and full commitment and all these things. That's a part of that. And where that leads to into a toxic work culture, we know that, everyone knows that. And the point is, we need to understand that building a business is a long-term endeavor, and you won't succeed if you burn out in the meantime. So business success can only come through life balance. And that means different things to different people at different stages in their lives. So when you are 25 and you build your first business and that's all you can think about, and you do that for 16 hours a day, be my guest, that's totally fine. But once you hit 40, you will have different, most likely different or additional priorities in your life.
Right.
Maybe you have kids. Maybe you care for your parents who are in a late stage of their life.
Right.
So all these things play an important role, and there is no one size fits all, and there is no, this is the right way and this is the wrong way. We need to understand that creating life balance is not a goal in itself. It's an ongoing process, and it changes, it develops. But very often we live lives that are not designed intentionally. There are so many things in our lives that came into existence, not because we invited them, but because someone thought these would be the right things for us. And maybe in our circle of friends or in our family, those things mattered and were valued, and we just adopted them. So by design, they are taking up resources. By design, they are taking up space in our heads. And maybe we even feel guilty because somehow we realize we don't really care about these things, but shouldn't we? So all these things need to be reevaluated to make space in your life for the things that matter.
They get caught up in it. Like you said, it might be other people's wishes and desires, and it might have been yours at one time.
Yeah.
But then you get caught up in it and you feel stuck. Like, how do I get out of this? How do I change this? For many entrepreneurs who have built their business, they become like a slave to their business. Hello, I've been there, where your whole business and everything runs around you, and you don't necessarily have the systems and processes in place or the right people to step out, and you feel stuck and you feel like that's so far away. And then the next step is burnout, right? So, but they get caught up in it, and then they're not sure what to do while they're in it.
And that's why the third theme of the book, so it's 3 themes, and the third theme is all around self-care, identifying what it is that you want in life, and balancing the most important elements in your life in a way that they allow space for each other. And thereby you focus on your business when it's the right time, and you focus on friends and family and whatever it is that's valuable for you when the time is right. And I think I should have made this the first theme, by the way, because it's the starting point, to be honest.
Right. Well, I think there's a lot of people, I like to play devil's advocate, right? There's a lot of people listening who are like, and then I know we're hopefully have a little bit more time to be with us. But sometimes people, they might be listening and saying, you know what, that sounds well and good. You are already at a place of success, and you're able to maybe take care of your family in a way that you don't need to bring in the bacon, so to speak, because it's coming in. What's the first step for somebody who feels like they are not able to do that?
This is a very difficult question because every situation is unique.
Sure.
And I don't think there is a one size fits all answer to that question. What I can say, though, is that when I think back only 3 years ago, when I was in the first year of building my new business, I know exactly what you mean when you say it's easy to talk about these things. What if you're not there? I wasn't there. I would actually challenge that I'm there at this point in time, because the question is, what is there? If you feel you always have to be there in order to allow yourself to do X, then you will never be there, because there's always something more that you can achieve. There is always that next level that you can work for. So unless you realize that a job is just a job, and even if it's your business, it's just a job, it's a means to an end, unless we realize that and give us enough space to grow and to be as human beings, we will not have the strength and the stamina to build a business, because that just takes a long time. And in the process, it's easy to lose yourself. So,
but I'm talking about financially,
first.
Right? I hear you. And I'm still playing that skeptic that says that's all well and good, but I'm not, when I say here, it means I'm not able to cover my bills, that I'm barely making it. And so I can't step away. I can't step out of it. I can't take that risk.
The question is, why is that the case? Is that the case? Why? Because you are just starting your business, you're just starting to build, then this is a completely different question. I'm totally with you. Then it's all about getting the business off the runway and make that plane fly. I'm totally with you. But if you've been in that business for 10 years and you can't pay your bills, then you should ask yourself some deeper questions here.
For sure.
Is this still the right business for you? Do you still have the passion to bring this back up and running? Or is it
really viable, right?
Exactly. Does your business model work?
Yes.
Do you have the right offering? Is your pricing completely off? There are reasons why you can't make enough to pay your bills. Right. So that is a fully different conversation that I would have with you if I worked with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for clarifying that. And maybe even for that person who's just starting out, the question is always to find if it's too much, then like you said, you're going to end up somewhere along the line burning out, right? If you already feel like it's too much. And I think there's always ways when we step back and reevaluate it, no matter how thick in it you are and you're in startup, and we have these first excuses that come up in our heads, and they might be real. I'm not saying by an excuse that it's not real. It may be absolutely your reality, but we're also only looking at one path. You mentioned the hustle culture earlier, that we're addicted to distraction and we're addicted to the hustle, and we have to slow down and get some perspective about maybe there's a different way where you can still take a little step back and still be able to passionately grow this business, maybe just at a different pace. Or maybe, like you said, maybe you can change your business model and that will mean everything. And you can do that at startup too. So I thank you for like segmenting that, because there are different questions to ask at different stages of your business, where that will open up the perspective of things that you need to look at and find those bottlenecks. And when it's important to you, then you make it happen, right? That's another thing. We don't see the cost and consequence sometimes. So we'll use that excuse. But when we get really connected to it, like you said, you have a toddler. So like if you were just starting up your business now and you really got connected to the fact that you're leaving before your toddler gets up and you're getting home and your toddler's in bed, and you find that you are rarely getting any time, you're going to change your priorities really quickly. But you got to get connected to what it's costing you.
And you mentioned the term overwhelmed. It's just too much. The reason why things for entrepreneurs or for any business are too much, it's always the same reason. It is unclear priorities. And because your priorities are not aligned to what you want to build, maybe because you haven't even written that down, because you are not 100% clear on what you want to build. And if you're not clear on what you want to build, you can't prioritize your resources to get to that point. So instead of ruthlessly prioritizing your resources, you're just throwing things at the wall and hope that something sticks. And because that the way you miss out on things happens because you are not clear on what you want to build. So every time you feel like it's too much, it is too much. You're doing too much. You're doing the wrong things because you're not clear on what it is that will get you to that next level. That's why understanding how business strategy works is so important. And it's not a magic black box where some consultants build something and then hand it over to you, you can write down a thorough business strategy. And I'm not talking about a marketing strategy. That is the second or the third step. I'm really talking about an overarching business strategy here. It is, in the end, it's very simple 3 steps. Ask yourself very specifically how your business should look like in 2 to 3 years. Understand how you would see that you're making progress toward that goal, and then prioritize everything around moving the needle and leave everything else out of the way. And very often we're doing way more than we should, stretching ourselves too thin, and end up burned out.
Absolutely. I'm exactly of that mindset, is that most startups and people who are finding themselves struggling are just focused on the wrong things.
Yeah.
I mean, just, right? I say that in quotes. Fantastic. So what didn't I ask you that we really need to know before we close out today?
We didn't talk about the first and the second theme of the book, but we don't need to do that in detail.
There were 3 themes. All right. We talked about self-care. Well, then we really need to know that. So you said self-care was number 3.
Yeah. Number 2 is anything around leading your business and your teams through challenging times, through times of disruption, and how do you create people-centric work cultures. There are various aspects and entry gates into that topic that we describe in the book. And the first theme is all about hard skills that you need as an entrepreneur and business owner or corporate leader that are definitely not in your subject matter expertise. We often grow our careers because we are really good at something.
Right.
We grow within a realm, within a subject matter expertise.
Curse of the expert, right?
Exactly. And then at some point in time, we realize, oh, wait a second, I need to know more stuff that I have no idea about. And we describe some of these topics in the first theme of that book.
Awesome. So that's the leading the team. And the first one?
Hard skills that you don't have.
Sorry. So I missed it. So it's leading the team and hard skills. So they're 2 separate things.
Exactly.
So hard skills, soft skills, if you want to call it, leading the team, and self-care.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So what else didn't I ask you that we absolutely need to know before we close out today?
I think we're good. Good.
All right. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for being here, and tell people where they can reach you when the book's coming out and all of that.
The book comes out on March 28th. You can actually get your hands on the first chapter for free already. You can already order it wherever you can buy your books. And you can join us for our global launch party, virtual launch party. Just go to nextlevelbook.co, and there you can download the free chapter and have fun.
Fantastic. And that'll all be in the show notes for everybody who's listening. So you can go to the show notes and pick up that link. Thanks again for being here, Alex.
Penny, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you all for being here. You're taking that time, you're investing it so that you can take back time. And I know that this book that Alex is bringing out is going to help you take back time to be able to understand what hard skills you need, what leadership skills you need, and really important lessons that you can take away. Because isn't it easier to learn from someone else's hard lessons than to make them your own? And lastly is the self-care and really focusing and finding that balance for yourself. This is a book that you definitely want to check out. So we will see you in the next episode. My name is Penny Zanker, and this is Take Back Time. See you there. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.